You make a diabetic stand on a high glass table. Okay? We take the photograph of his feet. Man is standing on the table. We take the photograph, digital photographs, and we digitize it, and we put a CW plot on that, and we can show beautifully how the capillaries go on doing that. This is a normal chaos. The blood supply to the feet comes and goes, comes and goes, comes and goes, and distributes like a flower going, like that. Now you make a diabetic patient stand on that. Tightly controlled, blood sugar absolutely normal. He stands there, his capillaries are absolutely like that. They will never do that. Now if you can have something which shows that sugar is controlled and the capillary is doing that, that will be the real Dhanvantari's medicine. And I was telling our young man, energetic engineer, that the controlled studies in future should be done not on reductionist ideas as we do in Western medicine. That is, you take two groups. Match control, we say. What is matching? Height, weight, body mass index, sex. That won't do. Because man is not his body. Man is 30% body, 30% genes, 40% consciousness. So you must be able to classify human beings in a genetico-constitutional conscious variety. That is only can be done by Ayurveda. That is, this Vata Pitta Kapha is not just the literal meaning of that. These are genetico-constitutional subtypes of man. Now, somebody has developed a further thing. There are 500 subtypes of Vata Pitta Kapha. And all that can be computerized today. And you can get the CD from Pune University. There's a man called Bhushan Patwardhan. You write to him, he will send you the CD. You can put it there. And then any patient who comes to you, if you have a long questionnaire to know all about him, his worries, his anxiety, his background, etc., 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 and type it onto the computer, press a button, you get a subtype of that man. Now you must get, say, 100 people, and they are typed into various types, and you must compare the same type individuals with the other type. This is the real controlled study for the future. And one more thing, as I've told you, you can now check the healthy chaos in everything. If you want, I can give you the chaos in the heart. If you want, I can give you chaos in the lung. If you want, diabetes, the most important part is the capillary system. You can see all diabetics a problem, whether it is the eye or the kidney or the lung or the leg or the heart or wherever it is. It is the capillaries that really are a problem. Even tightly controlled diabetics have more complications than not so tightly controlled diabetics also. For the simple reason that you are not controlling the healthy chaos. So the future studies must be based on Ayurvedic classifications and healthy chaos of individuals. It is little difficult and little more expensive than the present one. But if really the powers that we understand this and make it a mandatory thing, we can have wonderful studies emanating from India which the West will have to copy. Now the West is trying. Actually they have put up a big thing called WPH, Whole Person Healing Group. And Whole Person Healing Group has got its head office in Washington DC. And last month they had a huge conference where I had to give a keynote address on what is healthy chaos. And this was attended by such eminent people. There are about 10 Nobel laureates and all kinds of people. There are not only doctors, there are engineers like our friend Girish. There are all kinds of people, physicists, chemists, name it, they are there. And this is the future of medical research. Now if any one of you have learned chemistry, I will tell you there is what's called a new chemical action happening in the human body called hormesis. Have you heard of this? It's not even written in the pharmacology books. Hormesis, Hormesis. Hormesis is every drug in very small doses has a biopositive effect. It does good to the human body. And there is a threshold beyond which it harms the human body. This applies to every single drug, A to Z. Every drug has the same thing, which is called hormesis, which was first discovered in vitamin C by an eminent chemist in the same department where Linus Pauling discovered vitamin C. But Linus Pauling didn't like it, because you say vitamin C is bad, he hated it. So he filed a suit against this man for $10 million. And who won the suit? Edward Calabrese won the suit. But of course Linus Pauling didn't pay the money, the university paid the money. Anyway, Linus Pauling died. Now hormesis has come to be. I'll give you an example. If anyone of you get a heart attack and come to the hospital, do you know what we give you? Rat poison. Warfarin is rat poison. Only thing is we give a larger dose to rat and a very small dose to you, that's all. Or sometimes we get from snake poison and give you thrombolytics. Or we get from urine and give you thrombolytics. And now urine is bad, but that extract is not bad. In very small doses. Rat poison is bad for the rat and you also if you take it in larger doses, but in very small doses it may save you because it doesn't allow blood to clot inside the vessel. Now this is interesting. This is hormesis, and that happens in Ayurveda. Ayurveda and homeopathic drugs work by hormesis. So that little bit of, say for example, ginger. Now ginger has the most potent antiviral drug ever found in medicine. And this was discovered by people in Harvard University. You and I think ginger, adenu nama amma adige haktare. Adenu maddu anta helidre nobody will believe it. Garlic. They wanted to kill garlic by doing 43 studies in the world literature on garlic pearls. And everyone was negative. So they wrote an editorial in the BMJ, garlic is good for cooking but not as a medicine. So I wrote an editorial, garlic is good but not garlic pearls. You have not done your studies on garlic because garlic pearl doesn't have the SH group. They have removed it, removed the smell. And what is there? If you remove something, it's gone. So don't make Ayurvedic drugs. They are not Ayurvedic drugs, herbal drugs, into another reductionist science. Here, these boys have done not a reductionist science, but the whole thing. The whole is here. It's the whole that matters, not the bit. I told you, this is water. This is not hydrogen or oxygen. This is water as such. Now for studies, West won't accept unless you take an extract. You take an extract and study on the rat or rabbit or cat or dog or whatever it is if the Animal Protection Group and Maneka Gandhi allow you and then show that it's safe. But for human beings, don't give the extract, give the whole. That's the idea. Now, I was telling you about controlling only sugar. Controlling sugar is necessary, but along with the complete change in the system of a diabetic, which can only come with a comprehensive lifestyle change. Most of us are born in poverty. Remember that. When we were in our mother's womb, our mothers didn't have good nutrition. So what happens is, if you still survive in the mother's womb, in the olden days a lot of children used to die in the mother's womb. If you still survive and get born, you are born with a very small pancreas. You are born with a very small blood vessel. You are born with everything small. So if such a person goes up to the age of about 30 and then goes to Dubai and starts eating meat 4 times a day and biryani 10 times a day and payasam 4 times a day, this little pancreas says, my God, I can't help you. So that fellow becomes a diabetic at the age of 25. Now we say diabetes is coming to eat us up. No, it's not coming. We are inviting it. Why? We have put our thrifty genes. Our genes are called thrifty genes. That is, with very little food you can survive. But today what we eat is enough for 100 people. We eat so much. But if you don't want diabetes to kill Indians, you have to tell Indians to eat very less. Lal Bahadur Shastri was the right person. He said eat 1 meal less because there are so many people not eating. I would say eat 2 meals less. But the remaining 1 meal, eat it 4 times or 6 times. In America, if you become a diabetic, you are given South Indian rice diet. And in India, if you become a diabetic, you are given chapati. So the wife will curse, "Ee savin chapati madabeku anta. Avalu chapati made abhyasa illa." That's not needed. What is needed is, we must eat depending on our genes. We should not eat too much. Second, we have become so sedentary now. When I was a young doctor, I have never seen a woman with the periarthritis of a joint, with this, with that. No, because they had to grind the rice and grind with the other thing for making masala and then wash their clothes and draw water from the well. Beautiful exercise. None of them are diabetics. Today, you sit there, press one bell, chirr, dosa is ready, and press another bell, water comes, and press another bell, it's washed, and it's also automatically ironed probably. So what do? Sit in front of the television or in the office. And in the office, what do? The boss is a tiger, assistant is a tiger, colleague is a tiger. We were in the forest. The cause of death was only predation and old age. Now predation is when you see a tiger, you have to run. For that, God made you have a special mechanism called the autonomic nervous system, which immediately released catecholamines, which comes to the liver, where there are gunny bags of sugar kept as glycogen, and it released. So when you see a tiger, your blood sugar goes up because you got to run. Today you see a tiger in the office, and you are not running because you can't run. So each time you see the boss, your blood sugar goes up. So every day it keeps going up, going up, going up. It remains there up. This is called psychological stress and sedentary living. That's what Ayurveda said. Taponalan. You thought doing tapas. No. Taponalan means not do nothing. And what happened? You eat so much and do nothing and blame the pancreas for diabetes. And then try to control the sugar, because sugar is a very small part of it. I told you, David wrote, I have seen diabetics, I have seen human beings, I have seen sugar, I have seen blood, but I have not seen blood sugar. You have seen human beings, you have seen oil. Have you seen cholesterol? Blood cholesterol? No. You have seen cholesterol. It's a white, tasteless, odorless substance. This cholesterol has killed so many people, because cholesterol is not a disease, but you make it a disease. A recent French study showed of old people, those with the highest cholesterol lived the longest. But every day, everybody worries, adral cholesterol unta, idral cholesterol unta, your blood pressure goes up, your blood sugar goes up, and you get a disease. So friends, we have to move in a different direction in India. We have to show the light to the West, saying that the science you are following is wrong, and the science followed in the ancient systems of Ayurveda, the holistic science of Ayurveda, is the right thing to follow. As a matter of fact, there is an awakening in the West. The British Medical Journal has asked me to write an editorial called How Might Ayurveda Help Modern Medicine? And for again, don't equate Ayurveda with herbal medicine. Ayurveda is not herbal medicine at all. Herbal medicine has come on to Ayurveda later on from Nati Vaidyam. Herbal medicines are not Ayurveda. Ayurveda is swasthasya swastha rakshitam. Preservation of health. Immune boosters. Ayurveda's biggest problem is panchakarmas. You can rejuvenate the whole thing. You preserve it, and if it by any chance goes down, you can rejuvenate it. What a fascinating thing. That is Ayurveda. Ayurveda is the greatest science known to mankind. Please preserve that. Don't get a BAMS, and then go and give penicillin injection and steroid tablets. You are killing Ayurveda. Remember that. You are killing Ayurveda.